Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher and Pakistan take on Sri Lanka in Hyderabad today. The last time these two Asian rivals met, we had a thriller and we have a thrilling panel in the house today. Well, two people here who both say that they don't study but they are front benchers. Please welcome the knowledgeable and the scholars of Cricbuzz Live, Joy Bhattacharya and Parthiv Patel. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome, but please don't put me in a club with him because I don't have my, I don't have a PPpedia in my name.
This is what
There's no JBpedia.
You are the encyclopedia, he's the PPpedia.
I have a reason to sit on the front row. No, if I sit on the back bench, I won't be able to see anything. So that's why I have to sit on the front row.
No, but Parthiv is that student who says that he doesn't do anything, but he's that last bencher who's even more prepared than the first bencher. That's what Parthiv is. And then we have, of course, our encyclopedia of Cricbuzz Live, who I'm told doubled up in yesterday's game and he was on this chair.
Basically, I just have to look after these people. Manish, as I said, old friend. And he was caught in traffic for 3.5 hours. At least that's the story he told us. What the real story is, we will never know. But it was really good fun. And, we'll have Zahir Khan bowling at the other end. And bowling in full fury, there was no tension at all. All you had to do is throw the ball to him and allow him to take over.
All right, but today, thankfully, I was not stuck in traffic, so I am here and I am here to ask all the questions that I want to both of you all. Pakistan take on Sri Lanka. Pakistan, of course, are coming from that win against Netherlands. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, want to forget what happened in their last game, 428 runs. We usually talk about India's record against Pakistan in the World Cup, but Pakistan have a 7-0 up on Sri Lanka. Parthiv, how is Sri Lanka going to bounce back from their last game?
See, that's something which we spoke about in our last show also when they lost out to South Africa. If Sri Lanka was batting first and if they had got 326, they would have been really happy with that performance. Yes, bowling 428, when you concede 428, there is very little chance that you can win out of it. But Sri Lanka, I thought, fought really well. They would be going in with a lot of positives. I know the Theekshana might come back so that bowling will get strengthened. But more than that, Shanaka got runs, Asalanka got runs. It was before in Asia Cup there was only Kusal Mendis was getting runs and Asalanka was getting some runs. But here you have 3-4 guys getting runs. So they had that support, and that's something they can take into this game because you always look at positives. It was only first game of the World Cup, and I think Sri Lanka would be rather in better positive mindset than Pakistan because Pakistan has more answers than questions rather than answers.
But Joyita, just Sri Lanka would want to forget all these records, remember the positives from the last match and remember what they did to Pakistan in the Asia Cup.
Absolutely. And these records are also meaningless because, their last win there'll be wins in 86 and 97 and 96 that you're counting. Of course, 96 they didn't lose, but 87. So you are counting times which, these cricketers were not even born at that time. They don't care about these records. None of these records matter. What would have happened is what's happened in the last week. And I think Parthiv made a very important point that one team has won and one team has lost. But the team that has won, they won against the Netherlands, don't look as solid as the results seem to show. The team that has lost is not in such bad shape as that sort of 100-run or 99-run defeat seems to indicate. So I think that's the important thing you have to look at it, that in comparative terms, and remember, this is very early in the tournament, there's just one match each for each team. So I really feel this is a much more equal contest then you will see on paper what it looks like. It's much different from that. It's a very, very equal contest. And I think had Hasaranga been there, it would have been even more close contest. But, still there with Theekshana returning, it's going to be a really tough fight.
And especially with Sri Lanka, they know that they can beat Pakistan.
Yeah.
They have done it in recently in Asia Cup, and that was a close win for them. But at least you'd beat Pakistan. And Asia Cup final. Pakistan, or if Pakistan or India is not there, then that means that Sri Lanka has done well. Correct. So I think you have to give them that credit, and that is the reason why I've been saying last game, and they can take that literally semi-final game against Pakistan in Asia Cup, but they have to still forget that 50 runs and all out.
But we've got update from the center that Sri Lanka has won the toss. They're going to be batting first, and like we were talking about, Theekshana makes an entry, so that's a big positive for Sri Lanka already.
Big positive for them, but I'm interested that they're looking at batting first, which means they probably feel that their bowling is going to be a bit better under lights, or that they'd like to put runs on the board, put pressure on the opposition by putting runs on the board because they're still not, they think their batting is their strength, their bowling is not their strength. So I think that's what they'll be trying to do. and it might just work because again, no matter what batting team you are, how weak a bowling attack is, if somebody puts 330, 340, 350 on the board, mentally it's not an easy thing to chase, no matter what the bowling attack is. So I think that's what they're looking at, saying let's play off better cards first and let's see what happens after that.
I totally agree with them. I think that's something which, I think Sri Lanka would try and do, put runs on the board. And then if they get a couple of early wickets, like what happened in India game, it was just 200, but then, we were under pressure, though we won the game. But I think that's something Sri Lanka will try and do, that because something which we spoke about, last game, the batting was really well, they would be feeling confident about their batting, and that is the reason why they want to, get some runs on the board.
We have the playing 11 ready, so let's have a look at Sri Lanka's playing 11, and then of course we'll have a whole long discussion on that one change that Theekshana comes back. Parthiv, you spoke about the positives that Sri Lanka should take away. This will just give them that more confidence that they're looking for.
It does. I think, Mahesh Theekshana actually solves the problem big time. He bowls in power play and he bowls in death over also. See, if you look at the last game, their biggest problem was, they could not contain any batter in the last 10 overs. That's when they missed out on Mahesh Theekshana. Their first 10 overs were good, but they still had to, change it across, and they had to get Pathirana in. But now, Shanaka can rotate his bowlers the way he has been rotating throughout the phase which they had from qualifiers to Asia Cup. And that's something, if you look at the numbers, power play numbers and middle over numbers, they literally rely more on Theekshana in first 10 and middle overs Pathirana. So that's something which, Sri Lanka would be very... So I would say they'll be comfortable with Mahesh Theekshana, and they have. I feel that Velalage had a forgettable game, but he is very talented bowler. He's very talented left arm spinner. So I think he'll have that support also of Mahesh Theekshana.
Joyda, if you just look at the economy there, he's someone who just knows how to suffocate batsmen. We saw it in every phase of the game that he's very economical, and that's something which, especially in ODI cricket, you want people to rotate the strike, and he's someone who just suffocates batsmen.
He suffocates batsmen. Most importantly, also what he does is, it's such an important part of it is the entire rotation. So once you take him out, then Pathirana has to bowl overs they don't want him to bowl. And once he gets hit there, he's a young kid, his confidence goes, and then, so that effect is a sort of, it goes all the way down. And I think that's the interesting thing. With him coming back, now Pathirana doesn't have to bowl in the play areas that they asked him to bowl in the last match. And I think he'll be the better bowler for it, So it's a very interesting thing where this bowler coming in solves many problems for them other than his own bowling. And his own bowling is absolutely fantastic. I mean, with him and Hasaranga, they're a fantastic pair, but even he alone, I feel in Hasaranga's absence, he has taken more responsibility upon himself that, okay, I am the key bowler for my team, I need to raise my game. And I think he is doing that really, really well. It was a very interesting thing, who do you choose? Because, they had basically, whose place would he have taken? He could have taken Madhushanka's place, Velalage's place, and Kasun Rajita's place. And I think what they did was they looked at Velalage and said, I told you, they're very hot on Velalage as a player because they feel that he's a batter. He can give them a lot of things, even though Kasun Rajita got runs in the last match. And they probably felt that slightly slow pitch, it's turning, giving a little bit of turn, slow turn, but turn, so they must have just decided to go with it. That's why Rajita goes out. Madhushanka's a bit more experienced, they've kept him in the order.
And that Madhushanka is left-handed also, so it just gives them a little bit of variety. That's something, I'm sure that they've thought about it.
Absolutely.
All right, before we look at Pakistan's 11, I want to ask you all if you all had the hat on to choose. Is Fakhar going to be in or not?
I think it's too early in the tournament to drop him. If I've come into a tournament with him playing first 11, I'll give him at least 2-3 matches before dropping him. That's me, but I don't know what grandpa.
I feel, and I would have dropped him, because if you want to make a change, this is the time to make a change, and this is a time to give him a bit of break, say 3-4 games, and if you give him 3-4 games, and if you get someone else in, then you cannot bring a Fakhar Zaman in. So if your someone else is Shafiqul is...
Yeah. No, Saud Shakil will play up front.
Abdullah Shafiq, right?
Abdullah Shafiq up front will be
up front he'll come. And even if he fails after 4-5 games with Fakhar Zaman has played, then there is no coming back. So that is the reason why you've given him enough games, right? I mean, he's played 12-13 games. So this is the time to make a change. And Shafiq clicks, then your tournament is there. And if it doesn't give him 4 games, Fakhar Zaman is not getting runs. He'll be slightly out of the game. He'll get a bit of time to relax, and then you can still make him a comeback into the side.
Great logic. I'm beginning to now. He's almost converted.
No, he's got the logic, and Pakistan's, of course, listened to Parthiv because
Well done.
decided
Absolutely
to.
lovely logic.
Well
Perfect.
done, Parthiv. We'll have a look at the Pakistan's playing 11. Shafiqi is in, Fakhar Zaman out. That's the big news for Pakistan because there's been a lot of debate over whether he should be given an opportunity or not. Actually, surprisingly, Rizwan had spoken about how they want to back their top order, but they've gone against it and they've dropped Fakhar Zaman. But like you were talking about Shafiqi, Joyda, he's someone who's also a very confident batter, if I can say, because we've not seen too much of him in ODI cricket. He's been very good in the PSL, but he's just spoken about how they are very, they go very hard on their practice sessions and seems very confident.
Yeah, seems very confident. Multal Sultans, he's done a lot of good work for them. He's got runs for them. So I think it's just the kind of move that, look at that. He's not very experienced. But I think that's what, the way you put Parthiv on the spot, I loved it because you got him, but he gave you a perfect answer. And I think now the logic seems to make sense that give him a try, 3-4 matches. He works fantastic. He doesn't work your Fakhar Zaman, experienced guy coming back with some rest, with his mind better set. Things look fantastic. But I think, as I said, Fakhar, that's the thing that he doesn't look, he's exactly the opposite of Rizwan. Fakhar to me doesn't look as if he's going to get out and he gets out. And Rizwan always looks as if he's going to get out and he doesn't, and he just gets runs for them. So I think really, I think it's a good call. Thinking about it in retrospect, thanks to PPPDI beside me, I'm happy now.
No, but Parthiv as an opener, he's somebody who, we saw the stat there, that he's had a very good first half. He was also called the ICC Player of the Month before the Asia Cup, and then after that, form's just gone down. So is it a mental thing? Is it that one innings that he needs to break shackles? What is it that a person like Fakhar needs to do?
See, this is what you will see from Fakhar Zaman. That's something which we've seen him. It's not the first time his form has dipped. Once his form has dipped, and it has prolonged one. And this is because of the kind of technique he has. He doesn't have that conventional technique we talk about. More bottom end player, bat comes out from almost third sleep, and there are more shots on leg side or just square of the wicket. So for players like this, if they go out of the form, it becomes slightly more difficult for them to get back into the form. And compare that to guys who have better technique. They can go back to basics and they'll say, I'll spend some time and then I'll make a one good score and then make a comeback into it. But for Fakhar Zaman, I think that's something you'll always see. And plus the mindset with which he plays. He plays a high risk game. So every time you don't want him to get into a shell. You want him to stay in that kind of mindset. And he takes a lot of risk. So that is the reason why he might just get out a lot of times. And that is the reason why I'm saying, because there's a lot of things must be going in his mind, just get him out the 11 for 3-4 games. Let him, give that time to breathe, think. And then once he comes back, he'll come back fresher and probably score runs the way he has been scoring before.
Well, someone who Fakhar has had a downfall since the Asia Cup, but there's someone who's been rising since the Asia Cup, and that's Kusal Mendis. His form has just been going up, like the some stocks which I don't have in my portfolio. But but Kusal Mendis, especially his last innings, Joyda, that 76 against South Africa, big target that they had, but he just went so aggressive from the word go, completely chasing that target, having that positivity, saying we can do it.
No, I remember that one time when I actually took a snapshot of the scoreboard because it was Nisanka 0, Kushal Perera batting on 0, okay, score 57, he batting on 54. Yeah. So and the last time I'd seen a scorecard like that was Jayasuriya, another But that's the kind of player he is, and he's explosive, he's fearless, and I think they need players like that because with the Pakistani bowlers also, if you allow them to get on top of you, you're in trouble. So you need people who will counter-attack, and I think Kusal Mendis is a counter-attacking player. He's not going to sit there in his crease and wait for the bad ball. He's going to attack the bowlers up front, and I think it's very important for them as a team that he starts doing it. Of course, again, it's a high-risk game, so it's not going to come off every day like it does. But if he's there for 7, 8, 10 overs, the entire start changes for Sri Lanka.
But Parthiv, you think for Sri Lanka, I think the last 8 innings, their opening partnership, they've just got 150 plus score. So do you think maybe getting Mendis into opening makes sense, or you should keep him at number 3?
I would keep him at number 3. He's your best player. He's getting runs for you at number 3. Why to change his position just because someone else is not getting runs? You don't want to unsettle the guy who's averaging 50 and then striking at 97. If ball's spinning, he'll get you runs. If we saw against South Africa, they tried to bounce him out and he played them really well. So I wouldn't change him. If you want to change an opener or something, then that they can do it, but not. I would definitely not change Kusal Mendis' position for sure. At least the kind of form these other Sri Lankan batters are going now.
But Joyda, what do you think is the answer to these opening woes that Sri Lanka are having? Because you need that opening partnership in big tournaments like this. We see here that they've just had that 163 against Afghanistan. Otherwise, it's been very sad, the opening partnership.
It's interesting because, they're not crossing the power play also in most cases. My big point is that Karunaratne was that sort of opener who gave them something solid, And I think that's what they had gone for, that sort of a thing. And now I think they've changed on and said that, we need to attack from both ends and we need more attacking players. They've tried that combination for a while. I don't think they have too many choices now. There are not too many people sitting on the bench in Sri Lanka who they'll say that put in. And what Parthiv said is absolutely right. If Mendis is doing so well at 3, why do you want to play him out of position? Why do you want to change what is successful to help change what is already unsuccessful? You're just messing up 2 positions then, instead of 1. So I'd say that they'll have to stay or go back to Karunaratne at some point in time. I don't see many other options for them. I mean, there aren't that many players sitting outside in Sri Lanka who can give you those options up front. But 1 stand, 1 century stand, 150 stand, 2-3 good matches, everything changes.
Parthiv, Nissanka has not been having the greatest form, and especially against like the top 8 teams, he's not really been performing very well. So, like Joyda was saying, is you need that one of the top 3 to go and get that big 100, because that's what is needed in ODI cricket. So, what kind of pressure comes on to him with?
It does. I think, see, what they've chosen is that they know that Kusal Perera is someone who's going to attack from ball 1. If it's there to hit, he's going to do that job. But then you have to look at who's your other solid batter at the other end, which is Nissanka or Karunaratne, and you pick either of them according to the form which they are in. And if Nissanka is not getting you runs, again they are in the same situation like Pakistan is. Do they drop him now? Do they wait for a couple of games or get Karunaratne in? So I feel that he's also someone who needs a bit of time, but just the runs only can save the Sri Lankan team. I think probably it's about maybe one more game and you might just see Sri Lanka going with not Nissanka. And I think Kusal Perera will play because he's someone who's a dangerous player. Once he gets in, he can get you runs in like real quick. So probably Nissanka's time is maybe running out a bit. He needs those runs.
And given how Parthiv's suggestions are going right now, I would be very worried if I was there. If I was there, I'd whisper it to him when he's going out to bat today. When he's going to TP ne ye bola hai.
But Parthiv, again, because you're giving us such logical answers, do you think white ball cricket you need, like we are seeing, like previously we used to see not both attacking openers, used to have people who used to set themselves in. Do you think that's changed in white ball cricket, where you want that one really attacking opener and then one guy who anchors himself?
I think it all depends on the pitch which they are playing on, the conditions which the team's playing on. But yeah, that is actually a trend. We can see it from all the teams. If you look at Australia, you have Mitch Marsh and David Warner, where Mitch Marsh attacks. If Rohit and Shubman Gill, I'm not getting Ishan into this, but Rohit and Shubman Gill, they both have different things. Rohit is someone who takes that chance, and Shubman goes down the ground, but he, even after saying that, he was still hitting in the air. But that's and with Ishan also like that. But that's something which is happening with England. Is everyone is attacking, so there is no thinking there. But here I think that's a trend which we are seeing in white ball cricket, where one player is trying to go big and the other one is trying to anchor the inning. And once 10th over is done, and then they're looking at assessing the situation and they play according to that.
Joyda, do you think there's a lot of T20 influence that we're seeing in ODI cricket now? Because, it almost feels like he was talking about England, they're doing that even in Test cricket, which is another story. But we're seeing cricket evolve in a different way. They've gotten way more attacking, you feel, in ODI cricket?
Yeah, absolutely. And see, one of the things is that suppose reverse. How many times would you see the reverse before T20 came in there? The ramp, the reverse. These have actually come. I mean, though Sachin played the ramp many years before, but still seeing the ramp played on a regular basis happened because of T20 cricket. I think what happens is, suppose I'm playing for T20 cricket. I develop a certain skill. I know I can hit this 90% of the time. Now, once I know that I can do it, whether I've developed it for T20 cricket or for ODI cricket, if that same ball comes, I back myself to complete it. So I think that's one of the things. The other thing he said is, it's an interesting thing. It's not just a question of having two batsmen, necessarily one defensive, one attacking. It's about who's attacking on the day. That means both Mitch Marsh and David Warner can hit the ball out of the ground. But on that particular day, if Warner gets a start, then Mitch Marsh will just keep rotating, give him the strike and just try and hit the bad ball. So now the technique is it's about one guy attacking, necessarily taking the risks and attacking, the other guy not necessarily taking the risks. But in a lot of sides, both players are attacking players. I mean, they are both capable of attacking. And I think in Sri Lanka's case, I feel little less so, because Kusal Perez is an attacking player. Neither Nisanka nor Karunaratne are really that kind of, go opener.
But I mean, where I was getting to actually, Parthiv, was also growing up, the cricket we have seen, you'll see batters setting themselves in, especially the other day against Australia. We saw from the word go, from the first ball, you saw Ishan Kishan or Shreyas attacking from the first ball. So yes, there is a certain mentality, but shouldn't there be a little bit of just setting yourself in?
Yeah, it all depends on, as I said, you have to assess the condition. You have to know which kind of pitch you are playing on. Yes, you have your own game plan. You have your own template. How do you want to approach the game? But if it's a difficult pitch to play on, if it's a pitch where it is seaming around, then you might want to give yourself a bit of time. But that call, you can take it, right there and then. That's where the opener's role becomes very, very important in terms of understanding the pitch, understanding the conditions, especially when you are batting first. And after 5-6 overs, their job is to give away the information out to the dressing room, saying this could be a good score to defend on this pitch, and this is how I feel. But yeah, but it all depends on player to player. Like Virat Kohli is someone who takes time. And there might be days where even if you are just in good touch and you get 2 boundaries, but you have not taken a risk, but you are still striking at 130. But it all depends around the condition, that I feel.
Talking about conditions, Joyda, we've not seen the ball do too much in the few games that we've seen. It's not moving around, it's not swinging too much. Trent Bolt himself, like the guy who swings the ball, whatever the conditions are, he's struggled. So someone like a Haris Rauf, I feel that he's been a key to Pakistan, and he will be a key to Pakistan's campaign as well, because he just manages to use conditions even if there is nothing in favour for him.
No, absolutely. I think you're very, very right, because the only person, we were talking about it yesterday with Zach, that the only person who's looked like he's swinging the ball a little bit was Hazelwood and Stark in Chennai. I think I didn't see Bolt swing the ball. We didn't see any swing in the ball from Shaheen Afridi. A little bit, but very, very minimal by his standards, very minimal. And Trent Bolt, I mean, Chris Wokes, these are all top swing bowlers and they're getting nothing out of it. So no, I think the Haris Rauf is very important to them, because he hits a deck hard. He's a skiddy kind of bowler. These conditions are ideally suited for him, and as I said, conditions are not ideally suited for him. He's suited for all conditions. As they say, he's a man for all seasons. Kahin bhi ho, ball dal do. And I think he has a very important job, because if those top 2 bowlers, if Hassan Ali and Shaheen don't get the breakthrough, then there's a lot of pressure, because the Pakistani spinners are not going well. So that 11th over onwards, sometimes they get him 8th, 9th over onwards. He's very important to be that second attacking spell out there, because otherwise, if the spinners were doing better, his job would have been easier. But right now, a lot of weight is on him.
And Naseem's also injured, so that puts a lot of pressure on him. I think it all depends on Pakistan spinners. I feel Shadab is not as good a bowler when he's playing one-day cricket, 10 overs. Nawaz is someone who's not a regular. I mean, you can put him as a bowler, but he's not a regular bowler. So you're talking about those 20 overs, and then there is Ifti Chacha who comes in and bowls those 10 overs. If he has to bowl,
if Ifti Chacha has to bowl 10 overs, they're in trouble.
They're in trouble. So I think there's a big hole there as far as Pakistan bowling lineup is concerned.
But Joyda, you interestingly spoke about how he comes in as the first change, and that for them is where Hassan Ali came in, because you were talking about how you shouldn't change a number 3 slot. So even for a bowler, Haris Rauf is comfortable coming in as a first change. So Hassan Ali coming in means someone is there with the new ball and he comes in later and bowls where he's comfortable bowling.
I feel they should use him there because he's just better there. I feel because he doesn't need what he doesn't need the ball to be new. I feel Hassan Ali would do better had he had a newer ball in his hand. That's my honest assessment. I don't think Rauf needs that new ball. Rauf can do with this thing, and I think that's where Pakistan, I feel, are missing a trick, that because these were my top 3 seamers. Okay, one seamer's out. I move him to the top and I move Hassan to 3. I just feel that Hassan is a better bowler with the new ball than Haris Rauf doesn't need those things in his favour. That's my condition. And my point is that, again, it so much is going to depend on whether they take wickets up front or not.
True. Which Shaheen usually does. That's his thing, right?
Yeah, and if they don't, when have they been struggling? When Shaheen hasn't got wickets up front, Rauf has come in a second spell and not got wickets, then they're in real trouble. Then 11 to 40, they struggle.
But Parthiv, going in, do you think it's advantage Pakistan in today's game?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's Pakistan only thinking advantage Pakistan. Especially, I'm giving to. It would be a 50-50 game. I'm not saying that Pakistan goes in with an advantage, because there are a lot of holes in Pakistan's team right now. Especially the spinning option. When you're talking about, there'll be new opening pair there, and then Babar Azam plays with a certain kind of a strike rate. There's Saud Shakil, who did really well, but after that, Iftikhar Ahmed, he did get some runs. He's not consistent enough. So, it'll be a 50-50 game. I think Pakistan will have to play real good cricket, and especially a lot depends on Babar Azam, the batsman, and Haris Rauf, the bowler. My only worry is they are more dependent on individuals more than the collective team effort.
But Joyda, what's surprising is everyone before the World Cup started had Pakistan in their top 4. Was Pakistan in your top 4 as well?
Yeah, I have to say, I'd love to say that it's not true, but actually Pakistan is not top 4 before the Asia Cup. In the Asia Cup, the one thing is, because for once you saw a lot of them playing top teams in subcontinental conditions, and the one thing that was apparent from that Asia Cup onwards, that if their spinners don't come to the party, they're in trouble. They're not a great side if their spinners don't come to the party. And I think that is what you're seeing right now. And one of the problems that Pakistan's had is because the top 3 of Pakistan had given them so much Jan, Feb, March, April. Babar Zaman is still going, Inamul Haq is still going, but Fakhar has dropped out. Because the top 3 were so good, a lot of Pakistan's problems got papered over. Because if you're getting 350s and 360s regularly, your bowling is also going to look better. Because you're defending larger targets, spinners can flight the ball a bit more. They're not trying to defend 250, 260.
And there is no Zimbabwe, West Indies also.
Okay.
Well, we'll have a look at what has happened in the first match, because I'm told that England has arrived at the World Cup now. David Malan with that big century. We almost thought he'll get to a 200, but he got out on 140. They've managed 307 for 5 and 42 overs. The drinks break is on right now. But Parthiv, this is the England we knew coming into the World Cup.
Correct.
Right?
They are very well on the way to get another 400 score of this World Cup. But yeah, I think interestingly, we don't talk too much about David Malan, the batter. He's been number 1 ranker in T20 cricket for a while. But he goes a bit of under radar when we talk about Joss Butler, Ben Stokes, John Bairstow and stuff, Joe Root. So, but he comes in and does job more often than not. He's their most successful batter for a while now. So now here he's saying it's a World Cup. Now you have to talk about me. I'm getting those runs. It's not the other.
Yeah, it's like when in tennis, Carlos Moya used to be number 1. No one spoke about him because number 1 hai, but does he win the big ones? Sampras is there, Courier is there, Agassi is there. So that's the thing. Malan so much goes under the radar. And in fact, they were looking at his position and saying, will he play? Because they thought that if Harry Brooks plays well, maybe Brook will take his position. And well, he's just come and proven that those runs have not come from nowhere.
Yeah, true. Well, Joyda, when you come here, the one relief that I have is I don't have to read your question also, because yesterday I was not managing to even read the question, forget alone answer it. So I'm just very happy when you're in the studio. Let's have a look at Joyda's question of the day, which he's going to take. So please go for it.
Okay, what unusual record do William Kyle McCullen of Ireland and A.B. de Villiers of South Africa share in World Cup cricket? in World Cup.
I'm
even attempting. He's not even listening to the question.
I'm not even listening. I'm thinking of predicting the score. Not
Ah,
He's on the right thing. See, all his predictions are going well.
He's
Why
been
should he
on a
change?
roll. He's been on a roll with predictions since the first game he came on to Cricbuzz. So because
she hasn't done too many shows with me, that's why she's surprised.
वो हमें history
His
is not.
strike rate is always up there.
Up there.
Always. He's a T20 strike rate करता है. ODI हो
Okay,
या
so
नहीं.
you go first because you've been.
285.
See, he's thought of it fully. When Joyda has questions on, he's not listening also, John. He's just listening to what his prediction is going to be. 285.
So I'm doing like what most teams do, like in an auction, IPL auction. They wait for MI to see who is their picking and then go after them. So since he said 285, I'm going to go 270.
Oh, lesser than them. All right. So 270, 285. Hyderabad, it looks like a very dry pitch is what I've been told. So I think I'll go even lower. I'll go 262.
There's a lot of logic behind it.
A lot of logic.
Okay, logic, because see, this prediction game mein we should know what the pitch does, right? This prediction is just basis unless Parthiv has been secretly told what happens on the pitch before he comes on, which is why his prediction
I only go and make picture. I came this morning only. I was in Hyderabad.
Boss, if you say any more than this, then Parthiv will get a call from the ICC security department. So please, don't get him into any more trouble than he already
We
is.
won't get Parthiv into any more trouble. Pitch curator at Cricbuzz Live. Now new name that we have for Parthiv. That's all for now because our Parthiv is an all-rounder because he's a pitch curator, he's a predictor, he's a food orderer because there's no Gaurav Kapoor in the studio today. So a lot of responsibility on Parthiv. So we have to let him go. But you all don't forget to join us at the 15 over point in case you all miss any action. We'll be there. So see you all there.